The movie start with the housekeeper Fran. Fran walks upstairs into the Victoria Mansion's attic study, carrying morning coffee, only to discover 85-year-old wealthy crime novelist Harlan Thrombey lying dead on his couch with his throat slit and a bloody razor in his hand. The local police department initially deems the death an open and shut suicide. However, famed private detective Benoit Blanc is anonymously hired by someone who mailed him a newspaper clipping of Harlan's death, along with an envelope filled with cash. Blanc joins Detective Lieutenant Elliot and Trooper Wagner to re-question Harlan's greedy family members on the estate, sitting silently in the background and hitting a single piano key whenever he senses a lie. Flashbacks reveal that every relative had a hidden motive to murder Harlan on the night of his 85th birthday party. Harlan had cut off his daughter-in-law Joni after discovering she was double-dipping her daughter's tuition checks, confronted his son-in-law Richard over cheating pictures, fired his son Walt from running his publishing house, and had a fiery, screaming match with his arrogant grandson Ransom. Blanc singles out Harlan's dedicated nurse, Marta Cabrera, after learning she suffers from an uncontrollable regurgitation reflex that causes her to throw up instantly if she tells even a small lie. Blanc appoints Marta as his Watson, unaware that Marta holds a dark secret about what really happened that night. Flashbacks show what actually transpired in the study after the party guests left. While playing a late-night game of Go, Marta accidentally swapped Harlan's medication bottles and injected him with a massive 100 milligram dose of lethal liquid morphine instead of his usual Toradol. Panicking, Marta searched her medical bag for the reversal agent naloxone, but the vial was inexplicably missing from her kit. Realizing he only had 10 minutes left to live, Harlan refused to let Marta call an ambulance, fearing her undocumented mother would be deported if an investigation occurred. Taking control of his own death, Harlan devised a precise plan to forge an airtight alibi for Marta. He instructed her to leave the mansion loudly, drive her car away, sneak back through a gate in the fence, climb the outdoor trellis in his bedroom window, put on his coat and hat, and walk downstairs to be seen by the family, so they would think he was still alive. After Marta executed the steps and slipped away, Harlan slit his own throat with a razor to make it look like a suicide. Back in the present, Marta walks through the grounds with Blanc, desperately treading on mud to ruin her footprints and accidentally wiping security footage. Just as Blanc praises her innocence, he looks down and notices a microscopic drop of dried blood on Marta's shoe. Harlan's arrogant grandson, Ransom, returns to the estate and attends the reading of the will led by family attorney Alan Stevens. The greedy Thrombey family eagerly expect to split Harlan's vast, multi-million-dollar fortune and publishing empire. To their absolute shock and horror, Stevens reads Harlan's newly updated will. Harlan left every single cent, his royalties, his publishing rights, and his massive Victorian mansion exclusively to his nurse, Marta Cabrera. The room erupts into complete chaos. Harlan's children, Walt and Linda, alongside his daughter-in-law Joni, instantly corner Marta, screaming at her and accusing her of manipulating the old man in his final days. Under North Carolina law's Slayer rule, an heir cannot inherit a fortune if they are proven guilty of the benefactor's murder or manslaughter. Realizing this, the family's tone shifts from rage to desperate intimidation, threatening Marta with exposing her mother's undocumented status to IC if she doesn't renounce the inheritance. Panicked, Marta rushes to her car to escape the screaming mob, but her vehicle won't start. Ransom suddenly pulls up in a sports car, orders her to get in, and speeds away from the estate. Ransom takes Marta to a local diner and orders her a plate of food. Knowing her medical condition, Ransom forces her to tell the truth. After Marta throws up into a pitcher, confirming her story, Ransom chuckles and offers to help her cover up the crime in exchange for a 50% cut of the inheritance. While hiding out at the diner, Marta receives an anonymous blackmail note in her mail containing a partial photocopy of Harlan's official toxicology report from the medical examiner's office, along with a meeting time and location. The note demands a face-to-face meeting, indicating someone knows she gave Harlan the lethal dose of morphine. Marta and Ransom drive to the medical examiner's office to inspect the original records before the meeting, only to find the entire building consumed in flames due to a mysterious arson attack. Realizing someone destroyed the original toxicology report to force her hand, Marta drives to the designated meeting spot, an isolated warehouse in an industrial alley. Meanwhile, Benoit Blanc and the police spot Marta's car and initiate a high-speed car chase through the city streets. Ransom urges Marta to step on the gas, but Blanc and the police eventually corner them in a parking lot. The police arrest Ransom on the spot after Harlan's great memoir reveals she saw Ransom climbing down the trellis on the night of the party. With Ransom in police custody, Marta slips away to enter the dark warehouse alone for the blackmail meeting. Inside the creepy, dimly lit room, she finds housekeeper Fran tied to a wooden chair, unconscious and barely breathing from a severe liquid morphine overdose, next to Marta's missing medical bag. Inside the dark warehouse, Marta finds Fran struggling for life. Instead of letting Fran die to protect her inheritance and keep her secrets safe, Marta's medical instincts kick in. She performs emergency CPR and calls 911 for an ambulance. Before losing consciousness, a dazed Fran whispers a cryptic phrase to Marta, "You did this, Stash." Desperate and overwhelmed by guilt, Marta decides to give up. She drives Detective Benoit Blanc, Lieutenant Elliot, and Trooper Wagner to the hospital, where she breaks down and confesses everything about accidentally swapping Harlan's medication bottles, giving him the lethal morphine overdose, and covering up the scene under Harlan's instructions. She declares her intention to confess to the police and renounce the entire Thromby fortune under the Slayer rule to clear her conscience. Blanc listens quietly, inspects Fran's hidden medical bag, and directs everyone back to the Thromby estate for a final gathering with the entire family. Meanwhile, the news breaks that the arson attack at the medical examiner's office destroyed all toxicology records, leaving Blanc to piece together the entire puzzle using pure deduction. Sitting in Harlan's study, surrounded by the greedy family, Blanc suddenly requests that everyone remain silent. He reveals that Harlan's death was not an accidental medical mistake, nor was it a suicide. It was a cold, calculated murder plan from the very beginning by someone inside the room. Blanc lays out the brilliant deduction step by step, pointing directly at Ransom as the mastermind. Flashbacks reveal that on the night of the party, Ransom had a violent argument with Harlan after discovering Harlan was cutting him completely out of the will and leaving everything to Marta. Furious, Ransom decided to frame Marta so the Slayer rule would void her inheritance and return the fortune to the family. Ransom sneaked back into the mansion later that night, climbed the trellis in a Harlan study, and swapped the liquids inside Marta's medical bottles, filling the Toradol bottle with pure morphine so Marta would unknowingly kill Harlan. He also stole the naloxone antidote from her bag to ensure Harlan died. However, Blanc reveals a stunning twist. Marta never actually made a mistake. As an experienced nurse, Marta picked the correct medication by the viscosity and weight of the liquid without looking at the swap labels, meaning she actually administered the correct dose of Toradol. Harlan died from a self-inflicted razor cut under the false belief that he was poisoned. Realizing Marta was innocent, Ransom hired Blanc anonymously to investigate her, destroyed the toxicology lab, sent a blackmail note, and injected Fran with a lethal morphine overdose to silence her after she caught him tampering with the scene. Ransom laughs off the accusation, boasting that without Fran's testimony, they have no proof. Standing in Harlan's study, Ransom smugly smiles at Detective Blanc, reminding him that Fran is alive in the hospital, and without her testimony, the police have no hard physical evidence to charge him with murder. Suddenly, Marta's phone rings. She answers it, listens for a moment, and turns to the room with a somber look. She informs everyone that Fran has survived the morphine overdose at the hospital, recovered consciousness, and officially identified Ransom to the police as the person who attacked her in the warehouse. Hearing this, Ransom's confident composure completely shatters. Believing his conviction is now inevitable, Ransom drops his act and angrily confesses everything in front of the police, Blanc, and his entire family. He admits to swapping the medicine, setting up Marta, burning down the medical examiner's office, and injecting Fran with morphine to cover his tracks. The moment Ransom finishes his full detailed confession, Marta suddenly leans forward and violently vomits all over Ransom's face and clothes. Blanc smiles, revealing the clever trick. Marta lied. The phone call was actually from the hospital, informing her that Fran had just passed away. Because Marta threw up, Ransom's recorded confession was instantly proven true under law, providing the police with an undeniable, airtight admission of his crimes. Enraged after realizing he was tricked into confessing to murder and arson, Ransom snaps. He grabs a sharp, decorative knife from Harlan's large circular display of display blades on the wall and lunges directly at Marta's chest to kill her. He plunges the blade hard into her chest, intending to end her life on the spot. However, the blade harmlessly retracts into the handle. It was merely a fake stage knife prop from Harlan's collection. Trooper Wagner and Lieutenant Elliot instantly tackle Ransom to the floor, handcuffing him as he is formally arrested for the murder of Fran, the attempted murder of Marta, and arson. As the police drag Ransom out of the mansion in cuffs, Blanc speaks privately with Marta on the porch. He reveals that he knew from the very beginning she was involved when he spotted the tiny bloodstain on her shoe. But he supported her because he knew she was a good person who tried to save Fran despite the risk to herself. Blanc advises her to make her own choice about whether to help the family. In the final iconic scene, the disgraced Thrombey family members stand on the mansion lawn, looking up in defeat as Marta stands on the second-story balcony of her newly inherited estate, drinking coffee from Harlan's favorite mug that reads, "My house, my rules, my coffee."